And Kathy, Miss Kathy. I am a little hoarse here this morning. I didn't sleep well last night, neither did you, but of course we stayed up to watch the game. Not everybody did. Some people were boycotting the Super Bowl game, so.
And
anyway.
I don't blame them for that, but I was more one of the fun.
You wanted the
rather,
fun
rather than be
so.
altruistic, about it.
Well,
So I'm sorry. That's it,
This isn't exactly incredibly difficult work that we're doing here. So I think that counts. Oh my gosh, look at that. I had to redo my computer thing, sign off, sign on. So I have to get to this first. We have some school closings, and they are not all health related, as a matter of fact.
I think south of us
Yeah,
by Big Rapids area, all the way over to
yes.
Beaverton, Coleman, that area. There was a little bit of snow.
Everett?
There was a little bit of, must have been a wash of snow, going that way.
Everett, Big Rapids, Mecosta, Mount Pleasant, Bentwater. The other ones are closed due to sickness. Cadillac, whatever. Anyway, so there you have it. The forecast for this week, I'm not very happy about, but I know you are. I didn't hear about the results of the White Pine Stampede either, but I'm sure they had some nice powder for that event.
Yeah, our friends, the Nienhouses.
Were they in it?
Yeah, not
Oh, they're
Ruby,
in
but
everything.
the kid, her and the husband and
I
kids.
see.
She had a post on there. She was waiting like
Yeah.
usual.
Today, 16 degrees for a high, cloudy tomorrow, 16, 20 on Wednesday, 20 on Thursday, 18 on Friday, 22 on Saturday, and it goes on and on and on. God bless you, Groundhog. We've commented
Yeah,
on
but
that
the other
before.
good thing is there'll be
Nothing
nice
good.
ice formations to take pictures of in
Yeah,
a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's true. We need to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. Some people were commenting on how terrible they thought Justin Timberlake's halftime performance was. And I thought about it, and I thought, this guy, like him not, he's a legend. He is. He was with NSYNC, and then he's on his own. And, who else are you going to get? You've had the Stones. Don't tell me Katy Perry was a bigger star than Justin Timberlake, who performed, I believe, last year.
And it seemed to me that the people that I saw complaining were like our age, and they were complaining that they weren't more classic rock.
Right.
Like that,
You did mention an artist that Bob Seger.
no, I was joking, but
And I'm not so sure that he's...
No, but I mentioned
Correct.
somebody else though. Who did I? We said the Eagles, or
The Eagles would have been good.
especially
yeah.
the Philadelphia.
Well, we talked about that. They would have booked the act in the middle of it would have been the Eagles. You had a lot of unhappy New England fans.
Fleetwood Mac,
Fleetwood Mac. It was a heck of a game, though. It was a lot of fun. It's the first game that I watched beginning to end in 15 years.
Yeah.
I just don't watch football.
Yeah.
But
it was fun.
yeah, it was okay. It was all right.
Since we both kind of root for the underdog, this year it was a happier ending.
I was going to mention that. I went into the game not even knowing if I was going to watch it. I was channel flipping up till 6:30, and then we started watching it, and all of a sudden the sportscasters. This is what made me root for the Eagles, because I had no intention to root for anybody. And the sportscasters were talking about the broadcasters. They're talking about, the Patriots and Tom Brady and their offenses never looked better, and they just really one-sided right from the get-go.
Oh yeah.
And right then I'm like, screw them. I'm going for the Eagles.
Right. Yeah, and then the Eagles barely limped into,
That's
because
what
they were
said.
the underdog in every game, every playoff game.
The Falcons, the Vikings, yeah.
They should say something. They're underdogs in every playoff game, but they won. And they played their hearts out, and to me, the Patriots, they kind of just were their conceited selves a little bit, expecting that it was going to be easy.
I tell you what, it was over till it was over, though.
Yeah, I know.
What a great game.
Right, up
I don't
until the
care who you're
last
rooting
second,
for.
you're like, what's going to happen?
Great game.
And it makes that it's fun when that happens.
Some of the observations last night that we made, we have Doc tuning in right now. Thank you for your contribution to the show via Facebook. Facebook was alive with everybody and the brothers comment. I said my vote for MVP was going to be the Eagles kicker. He was just so cute.
Then you could fit him in your pocket.
Yeah. And I posted that twice, as a matter of fact. Oh, here's what I posted 9 hours ago. All right. So this would have been, help me out, now at 10 o'clock at night?
Mm.
9 hours ago?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, 10 o'clock. I'm the first to predict riots either way in Philadelphia.
And you were right.
I was right. Philly celebration turns rowdy after Eagles win Super Bowl. What started out as a joyous party in the streets of Philadelphia last night followed the Eagles Super Bowl championship. Started getting rowdy and destructive as the night continued. Boisterous fans smashed a Macy's store window. Nothing says we won like smashing a Macy's window, really. I've never understood this, though. But anyway, they broke into a convenience store. Why not? Flipped over a car. 3 people fell to the ground from light poles, lost consciousness. Other fans were in an online video leaping off a hotel entrance awning. Alcohol may have been a factor. I just threw that. You know what? I just threw that in there because I was pretty confident.
Well, there's another one in here that talks about a drunken Kevin Hart on the field.
Yeah.
And
Well, let's.
right here.
Oh, we have started so late today, and I just refused to get.
This
up
is
with
from
the wine,
Gravian.
frankly.
The Eagles won the Super Bowl on Saturday night, which sent the city of Philadelphia into a frenzy. We saw Eagles fans at the game going crazy, most notably a drunk Kevin Hart enjoying himself on the field and on the NFL Network set. But it was
Can
even
you help
more.
me out? Who's Kevin Hart?
He's African American comedian, short.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Anyways, but it was even more out of control back in Philly. The celebration in Philadelphia was, well, as insane as you would expect from a city that has to grease all of its lampposts and poles holding up traffic lights because people have a tendency to climb them and jump off of
I
them.
know it. Philadelphia, historic home of brotherly love and a bunch of rowdy redneck thugs. You might say it's a shoot hole.
Well, I remember across the river, that's where
Well, it's not
Bruce
exclusive.
Springsteen came from, right across the river there.
In Jersey.
Yeah.
It's not. It's they're not the only city to do it, but you just saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
I always
good
said
for them. It's their first franchise win at the Super Bowl, so good for them. I wish if they could do it, the Lions could do it.
Yeah, I
And
want
then
to
we'd
see.
have the same kind of ride.
You heard it here first. Next year, the Super Bowl between the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know anything about football, and I know that was funny. That was
Yeah.
local ads. I gave a shout out to PGOs, well produced. Whoever shot that video, and put George, who's the icon of PGOs. That was a great ad. They had ads for local dealership, and I wanted to say it was Fletcher's. I know that Dave Kring was on there because I recognized my friend Bill's voice. But yeah, they had local ads, and boy, NBC, people were saying, oh, the ads were terrible. Well, they're built up so big.
Mm-hmm.
How can you have a great ad? It's
And they're not as much a surprise. It was more fun when it was a surprise.
exactly.
You know.
Yeah. And I saw one, and I can't remember who it was for, but, whatever. They're going to milk those today, but they definitely got their money's worth there.
My favorite one is for the Febreze. It's always just like last year.
Oh, Febreze? Yeah, that was cute.
What is it? How did they do it? Hash mark doesn't stink or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Poop, basically, poop doesn't stink.
Yeah, it was cute.
We did have.
There were a lot of promos for NBC, too.
Laura said, good morning.
Excuse me, the Olympics. Thank you, Laura. But yeah, for the Olympics, there was a lot of self-promotion there, which makes sense. Anyway.
NBC's carrying that too.
Yeah, exactly.
In a couple days.
Yeah, they had said one of the stories here, upnorthlive.com, where else, what a big boon it is for NBC to be carrying the Olympics in that one too. That commercial with Lindsey Vonn was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Toyota. Oh, I mentioned this too. The number of ads that seem to be like kumbaya across racial lines, across cultural lines, you know, from T-Mobile to Toyota, and it was like, it was all goodwill. I guess that's what that advertisement is
Supposedly.
called, because it didn't sell anything. Yep, which,
Well, it kind of shoved some things down your face. Like I felt they were talking down to me, you know, like well, you know, we have to get along with the different, you know, races and all. And I don't know. It's like,
which
yeah,
has
I know,
never
I
happened.
get
I
it.
don't know why it would now be perfect harmony, but
What's still? Well, I mean,
it's a good message. It's feel good. Blah blah blah. You
I mean,
know.
it just got shoved down to my face too much, and I don't feel that that's an
Yeah.
issue for me.
So anyway, but let's see. As part of the Super Bowl, as the Super Bowl went to commercial break during the second quarter, and I yelled at Kathy, "Kathy, what happened to the TV? Fix the TV!" Because we have what 20 remotes with about 6,000 buttons, I think. And I'm like, Kathy, because I know nothing about technology and refuse to learn. Well, you know it's true.
I have little taped on the backs of some of the remotes. I have a little piece of tape written on there.
Yeah, I know.
DVD
what they-
player, because we tried to do a universal remote doesn't work for him, so he's got to have the different ones.
Yeah, so she put masking tape on them, and everyone starts with the same message. Hey, dummy. PGOs, great ad. Justin Timberlake, we talked about that.
A little bit, but yeah,
Again, over a decade of hits.
he was,
He was very comfortable. He went into the audience. The guy's approachable. He's like, he could be your buddy at the Super Bowl party.
very professional. I mean, that was a complicated routine. And
They always are.
he had it right on though, man.
He
Went from one
nailed
to
it. He's a
another.
hell of a performer.
And I mean-
it could be said he's the best performer we have out there right now.
I was bored with the idea of him being up there, but I have
Oh,
to say,
yeah.
watching
Oh,
him,
yeah.
it was
And
great.
it's a lot like the commercials. Sometimes they get overblown, so you don't know what to think.
And then they're
Let's-
saying, yeah, oh, be prepared for surprises. So I'm like, okay, well, they said Janet wouldn't come, but maybe, or they said NSYNC, you know. But
Well-
there weren't really any surprises. The biggest surprise is he went up in the audience, but that was
Yeah,
fine.
with of course Minnesota giving a bid to
Oh, yeah, to
Prince,
Prince. Yeah, that was sweet.
accidental drug overdose. I was kind of okay.
What kind of a hero is he? But for many years.
No, there's that. Hey, look, there's a great cloud to the silver lining of his career.
Yeah, but that's Minnesota is what Minneapolis. That's his town, you know,
It is.
and that's why
It is. But anyway, I thought he did a great job.
they had the town hill. They showed outside. All the lights were purple all around.
Yeah, I think that was photoshopped. I still swear it was. They couldn't turn everything purple like that.
I just couldn't have
It was cute.
It was right around. It was just around the Silverdome or the
Oh,
Silverdome, whatever it is.
What? Exactly. That's how much you know about
The
King.
stadium, the
Somewhere in
Silverdome. The
Minneapolis, I don't
Silverdome. That's not even there anymore.
Let's see. Went to black. Viewers watching at home were extremely confused as to what was happening and expressed their thoughts on social media. The black screen with no sound is the best commercial Bud Light has run in a year, said someone. Never thought the best ad before halftime would be a black screen and silence. The black screen, these are posts on social media. That black screen had me feeling as empty as the finale of The Sopranos. Adweek reporter Katie Richards says that an Oreos advertisement was supposed to play at that moment. That's what went wrong. No ad for Oreos. Super Bowl ads cost $5.5 million. Ironically, Oreo's last tweet was about a blackout that occurred during CES, a technology conference in Las Vegas. We're still in the dark was the parody of the ad, and it turns out they went dark. So what do you have there?
About the Super Bowl Sunday, the biggest party of the day. One of the biggest party days of the year. That's not breaking news. It's just a fact. And unsurprisingly, many of those watching the big game celebrate by overindulging with food and drink. Federal government statistics project that approximately $55 million is spent annually on parties for the NFL title game. Boy, we had a big party, didn't we?
Yeah, you had
Stuffed
stuffed
cabbage roll.
and I
and
had
cabbage
a
rolls.
rock star to keep me awake.
Yeah, and then we had a little bit of peanut butter M&Ms, or
Yeah,
I did.
I didn't.
But that was our entire thing. And my drink was my Powerade Zero. So why isn't the day after a holiday?
Why is it the day after the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
A holiday. I think that's how it reads.
Oh, why is the day after a holiday? It's certainly been talked about before. Upwards of 17 million people call out sick on the Monday after the Super Bowl.
How many?
17 million. Business owners, students, and other petitioners have tried unsuccessfully on change.org to get the day off.
310 million people in the country. How many are working? You know, either they're too young or they're retired. Let's go with 125 now. Let's say 100. Let's be generous. Let's say 150 million people have to go to work the next day. And 17 million out of that. Wow. Calling sick.
Wow.
Put on your best sick voice. We've all done that.
Yep. Count Kraft
Have you
Heinz.
done that? Here it goes. I'm going to do a demonstration for those who don't know because they are.
Oh, sick voice to call in.
Hi, is Bob in? Okay, thanks. This is where the hair of the dog comes in. Yeah, Bob. I just don't feel good. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know why, but I'm really sick. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure I'll feel better tomorrow. I know. Okay. All right. Love you. Man, that's great. Have the day off now, baby. Where's some leftovers? Woo! I'm going to watch a game on TiVo. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
I interrupted.
Oh, that's fine. I like a good interruption. So, Kraft Heinz is one company which noticed the drop in productivity the day after the game. So the company announced last year that it's giving its employees Monday off.
They're a big advertiser.
Yeah, statistics show over 16 million people call in sick or don't go to work for those, and then for those who do, productivity plummets so far that the country loses an average of around 1 billion, Kraft Heinz said in a statement. Rather than focus on work, employees are often discussing the game from the night before, are less motivated to work because they had too much to drink. As a result, even many of the people who show to work aren't nearly as productive as usual. This can often be worse than employees who don't make it to work, said John Challenger, CEO of the employment consulting firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. People are excited about the game, he said. They've been betting on their squares, coming in to talk about what has happened, going online and looking at the videos. It's really a slowdown of work, particularly in the mornings. This slacking off costs companies about twice as much as the absenteeism. So,
good thing we don't have to be motivated or work hard.
yeah, you thought about it. You said that last night. I could take
I
the
could
day
just
off.
say we don't have a show.
You could take the day. You thought about it.
I have that internal clock, and it goes off and you're out.
I know.
And that's the end of that. There are other stories that are happening here today, so let's cover some of those.
Rebecca says nice smiles this morning.
Oh, thank you. They're so fake. They're so freaking
No, they
tight.
aren't.
Neither you nor I could sleep well last night.
Yeah, but I'm still smiling. It's a real smile.
I know, I'm teasing, of course. Police from Charlevoix and surrounding communities celebrated the 5th annual Groundhog Shadow Fest.
Police or people?
People. Did I say police? Well, there might have been those too. People from all walks of
just
life,
the police.
including police, from Charlevoix and surrounding communities celebrated the 5th annual Groundhog Shadow Fest. Let's see, a festival in northern Michigan. What does a festival in northern Michigan have to have? Gimmy's fries,
Well,
maybe an amusement ride, farmer's market.
booths, food
Booths.
booths, mainly
Food booths, yeah,
Food booths
food.
is all they need. In Charlevoix, they don't have
Yeah.
all those. They don't have all that stuff all the
Maybe
time.
an art and craft show.
Well, it's winter.
Anyway, people, I'm just being cynical because I don't even know what this is. People got to enjoy Saturday's fresh snowfall. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it myself, every shovelful. A pancake breakfast, kids' games, disc golf, and a beer tent.
That's what you need.
Do you exactly?
The beer tent.
The
That's all
beer-
you need.
That's all you need. Did you know that the you remember the National Cherry Festival tried to rename the beer tent?
Kind of.
I think it was a Tom Kern thing when he first got in, but I was at the press conference, and they said the beer tent, or we'll call it now, and that's all that was said about the official change, the beverage pavilion.
Oh yeah.
It is now the beverage pavilion. Because let's face it, as many people drink wine or pop or whatever to get the heck out of the sun to go into that thing, and you have to buy
Pin to go
your
in.
pin from Peter Garthy. I mean, there's the tradition.
Except for not this year.
He's not selling pins this year. I just saw him the other day.
I thought he retired.
He may have. He said he has a pace. Well, I don't know. I don't think he told me anything in confidence. He's pretty open
That was in
as
the
a
news,
pacemaker. Now he has some other issues, but oh, wasn't the news? Okay, good.
but that.
Anyway, here we go. 5th annual Groundhog Shadow Fest, and you missed it. Ha ha! This year, the event also. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this, but you know who was at the 5th annual Groundhog Shadow Fest?
Who?
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
And he showed his nipple. That's what everybody was like. The surprise was going to be Janet Jackson. Then you said the rest of NSYNC.
Yeah, everyone was talking about that. I heard it everywhere.
Well,
Because Janet said, no, I'm not going. So
no, I'm not going. I don't want to rehash that whole thing. Yeah, I do. But the lyrics to the song, how it ended, I'm going to get you naked by the end of this song. And you and I both watched it live. Couldn't see a thing.
Yeah, back at the real thing.
Yeah,
Last time
there
we
was a
there.
little
I didn't see a
rip
thing.
triangle. You couldn't see
I didn't,
anything.
even, I didn't even see that happen.
Some perv with 100 million zoom lens caught it. Just to be blacked out when they showed it. Well, blacked out, is that the right word on Janet Jackson? I don't know. Maybe anyway. Stop. I never saw it, and I saw it live. They didn't have a $5,000 big screen TV though either. Let's go back to the Groundhog Shadow Fest because I know you want to know more. Organizers say this is a great way to bring people back downtown during the winter and shop. Concept.
Good idea.
Oh, this is yours. Sorry. What she says.
All right. The next star to take stage at the National Cherry Festival this summer was announced Monday. Executive Director Kat Pay stopped by the Heritage
Cat
House.
Pay. Cat Pay. Does that sound like something that goes with chips?
Kat Pay.
Her name. Cat Pay.
Why would it go with
Cat
chips?
Pay. I'll have
Oh,
some.
pate is what
I'll
you're
have
thinking
some
of.
hummus. I'll have some kale and some cat pay. I
Okay.
grow it in my backyard. Okay, but we had Trevor Tkach, and everybody's like, "How the hell do you pronounce your name? Is it Koch? Is it T silent? Tkach?
T-Chatch or
Yeah, whatever."
But anyways, the news was it's Dustin Lynch, who I've never heard of. Lynch is a country artist from Tennessee who's said to be the heir to the George Strait's throne.
Repeat that. Justin Lynch is said to be the heir. Now look, to the George Strait. There's first of all no bigger star than George Strait. Let's just be honest right now.
Johnny Cash?
Country star. No, George Strait. Oh, no. Anyway, Dustin Lynch had, I can remember 2 hits. I don't follow country music much anymore, but I don't think so. I think it's still Blake Shelton and, Miranda Lambert and all that. Anyway, we'll see.
He will take the Pepsi Bayside stage on July 6th. Tickets go on sale Friday, February 9th, so you really want to get good seats.
By the way, we have an interview coming up very shortly with, I'm going to remember his name in a second here, but he's a veteran who benefited from the Reigning Liberty Ranch. That is a therapeutic setting where veterans and at-risk kids get help. And we had the first part of that with Becky Bigelow on Friday, and we'll have a remainder of that. Also, hopefully, John James will be coming up this week. He is a Republican. By the way, anybody is welcome on this show. Anybody who wants to be on, most people, anybody, from any political walk of life. I mean, you're invited. It's just that I got into this, drained the swamp, and they got a hold of me, and now they're lining up interviews. John James, very impressive guy, West Point graduate, served in Afghanistan and going up against Debbie Stabenow. No easy feat. Very impressive guy, though. Anyway, TCAPS. And we're going to shoot for Jack Lane. We're still going to try for Lisa Kropa and Dave Elliott from Florida. Those are well, they're regulars pretty much. Anyway, TCAP's board members could soon hear directly from the district employees. Acting Superintendent Paul Soma of the harassment and intimidation, a process that could color Soma's upcoming performance evaluation and contract negotiations. While investigation completed into 3 employee complaints cleared Soma of any wrongdoing in those incidents, there were, quote unquote, in excess of 20 other complaints that have yet to be investigated, according to the Traverse City Administrative Association attorney, Kenneth Pedersen. So we'll see what happens. You have a final story here before I load my hand.
Not final. What about that?
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah. Well, the one thing, this story that you have is actually more than one. I'm afraid to drive a little bit on the roads after some of the local stories in the last few days about crazy drivers, drunk drivers, impaired drivers. It's yikes. And then there was that shot of the police car, Benzie County police car, that was in the snowbank because of a chase, but here's one of them, one of many. Michigan State Police are asking for more information from the public after a pickup truck caused damage to multiple properties. So they started receiving calls of a gray Dodge Ram pickup driving erratically just before 6 a.m. Thursday. Reports show the pickup crashed into both parked and moving vehicles as well as fixed objects. Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office said they responded to the multiple property damage crashes, while the Michigan State Police troopers from the Cadillac Post responded to the Munson Medical Center, where it was reported the suspected vehicle was parked. Investigators say that the suspect driver traveled on US 31 to 11th Street towards Munson Medical Center after leaving his residence in Interlaken.
All right, that's good. I want this one. This is his.
He had taken multiple drugs, prescription medications that severely impaired his ability to drive, and he was driving to the hospital. And then this one was from, which we have to make a mention, from the Express. They had the most eligible singles, and our friend Marty Johnson was in there.
Yeah, I saw that, and
she just talked to you on Friday about the Super Bowl.
They had a bio of about 3 or 4 men, 3 or 4 women. And I'm like, the solution here is really simple. Just hook them up with one another. If they're all the most eligible, there's the first thing they have in common right there.
Oh, funny.
Anyway.
So
this is a funny story. I mean, this is in the Northern Express.
It's sad but funny. But there was a bad trip. The slant in the Northern Express is that these poor people that were experimenting with LSD and drinking, they made the mistake of calling the police. Don't ever do that. That basically says you might end up beat up and in the hospital.
If you have a bad reaction to food, you should seek medical attention anyway.
Yeah, well.
But if it's illegal activity, they're saying don't do that.
Well, he was like out of control. I mean, an out of control person is an out of control person.
And there was still a slant in the article though.
Yeah, it was funny. But so the wife regrets calling the police. That's what it talks about. That they just assumed the worst and just decided immediately they had to take total physical control. But so this guy, he was the head co-owner and head brewer at Brewery Ferment. So he was kind of a local responsible person.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then they ended up with when all this happened, there was a jury trial in January, and he was acquitted of his most serious charges, but found guilty of obstruction charges, which carry up to 2 years in prison. His lawyers expected to be down to like 6 months in jail. So, but what happened, he's still rattled by the encounter. After he and his girlfriend drank some alcohol and took LSD. So now,
alcohol and LSD to bounce off that a little bit.
Yeah, I have to go to the end and say, he still believes, after all this, which I'll talk about, he still believes in the spiritual power of LSD. He said the experience didn't sour him to a drug he believes has mind-expanding benefits. He said in the future he'd not take it indoors or at night.
No.
So that'll make a difference.
Yeah.
He'll be out.
And I was going to cut back on my drinking, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, don't take it, what now, at night?
Not at
Or-
night or inside.
inside, so he should be outside during the day with a lot of people.
I know. What
Great
are you
idea.
gonna do? Yeah, it's weird.
LSD, go
But-
figure.
So this guy takes it and he gets kind of rowdy, out of control. He's walking back and forth, and so the girlfriend calls the police dispatcher and said she fears that
Is that him?
yeah, she fears that he's gonna. This in his picture, he this is his photo if you can see it,
Right, hold on.
but he said he cut back his beard. It was even more wild looking before. So he, was out of control, and the wife called the police, and they got the call saying that she feared that he would harm himself, or
Right,
And
then the
and
police
she-
have an obligation, by the way, if there's a threat to harm yourself or others.
And she said that she left the residence and she was walking. She was like a half mile away. So then that in their minds thinks she's afraid. She may not have said it, but why would she leave the residence if she wasn't feared for her own safety? So
Well, the whole thing is pretty interesting, because I have to run it through limited knowledge of law enforcement reaction, and
I think they did a pretty good job.
I think so. If he wasn't complying, then he needed to be tased.
Right.
That's a physical resistance, active resistance rather, and that's what happens. People always say, "Oh, you tased him. You didn't need to. Pepper spray. You didn't need to." What? Do you remember when they had the batons, the wooden batons, with a handle on it?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't that long ago. That's when I was growing up. They didn't have pepper spray. They had the baton,
Right.
and you get a good whack in one of your main pressure points, and down you went. At the very least.
Well, not when you're on drugs, always. So.
Well,
So-
you know what? You're kind of impervious too. I mean, LSD is like an incredible anxiety
Right.
rush with all this energy and stuff. So, I mean, look at Rodney King. Remember? Turns out he was on meth or something like
Yeah,
that.
he
They,
said
they
it.
kept ordering him down, and then he said, "Well, there's 8 cops on him." Well,
Sometimes they have superhuman strength. So as they got closer to the house, they saw that he was pacing in and out, screaming for his girlfriend, his mother, and his cat, Mr. Cheeks. And at one point, he emptied a beer into the cat's bowl and stuff. It was
a
just,
beer and a cat's bowl.
yeah, and we were telling him, "Hey, we're here to help
You
you."
know what? That's going to outrage more people than the other charges. I swear.
Anyways, they said, "We're here to help you. Want to help you. Need medical attention." They had 2 paramedics with them too. But it escalated after the troopers, that they all agreed that he needed to be sedated and taken into protective custody, and because he started talking gibberish too. Yeah, his response when they said they're going to help him, said he just started talking gibberish, and then when they started going towards him, he said, "Who the F are you?" And he pointed his finger at the trooper. He backed up and they followed him inside. There was a knife on the counter and a pair of scissors on the floor. Although he didn't reach towards the weapons, they were at hand, and the troopers testified that it increased tension.
Sure it did.
Yeah. So,
That's
yep.
not unreasonable.
Yeah. And then anyway, they went in and they attempted to place him under arrest, and he fought back, kicking and wrestling with what they would say had superhuman strength. So this guy's 6 foot, 170 pounds, and these are 2 strong officers, and they cannot control him. That are well
It
trained.
got pretty serious.
Yeah. And at one point during the encounter, one of the officers' backup weapon, a handgun that he kept strapped to his ankle, fell on the floor, and while the suspect was on the floor, he picked up the gun and raised it, and then that officer whose gun it was stepped on his arm, and when he did that, the gun went off and went into.
I was lucky he didn't get shot.
Well, they went into the officer's boot, and that was a problem. One of the issues afterwards, they couldn't find the gun, the bullet, and so then they were saying afterwards, well, there was no shot, but there really was. So,
But anyway, folks, do LSD during the daytime outside.
But I just a little bit more.
That's the final thought.
Yeah, but one other thing is that the other officer then thought, he took out his weapon and he was going to try to shoot the guy. He said fatal force.
Deadly force, yep.
Yeah, and but he was afraid he'd hit his partner. So when they separated a little bit, and he had his gun trained on the suspect, and his partner saw him and said, "Don't do that. Don't do the gun. Do your taser." So they tased the guy. Had no effect. So then they started kicking him. It kicked him in between the eyes because they know that's a play. So they decided they had to
between
knock
the
him.
nose and the upper.
Yeah, they
there's a
said
pressure
they had to
point.
knock him out. So they kept kicking him, and
He's
finally
lucky he's
they
not
knocked
dead.
him out.
I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't want the man dead, but
Yeah.
when you
But that-
grab a gun that's lying on the floor and you know it's loaded because it's yours,
and everything they're doing, tasing him, nothing's working. I mean,
right?
then they just thought, well,
Yeah,
it's just
you're
we got to
not-
knock
I'm
him
not-
out somehow.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to cry river.
But anyway, that's the story.
I thought
And
that
now
was
he
wild.
lost his job, and his sister
Oh.
won't talk to him. He was his partner in the business because of what he did to the business.
Yeah, he needs to
You know, it's-
get straightened out. Anyway, here we go. And a lot of people did acid in the 60s and 70s, and I guess it gives you the opportunity to drink and never really feel it. It's that powerful of a drug. So a lot of people who played with it decided it was just kind of stupid.
yeah.
Let's do this interview.
Okay.
You want to do this? This is with the veteran who's helped at Reigning Liberty Ranch. Reigning, REINING. You'll find it on Facebook, where you may be watching right now.
And we had an you had an interview with the lady that runs it last week.
On Friday, yeah, Becky Bigelow. So let's go
We
ahead.
need, and we'll have both of these out posted separately, so you can listen to them.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kath.
As promised, we have a veteran with us with the Reigning Liberty Ranch program. His name is Lucas Clark. And Mr. Clark, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and where you served and when.
Well, I joined the military in 2008. I was a cavalry scout, got stationed at Fort Campbell, the 101st, and the border of Kentucky and Tennessee. And I spent 12 months, May 2010 to May 2011, in Kunar, Afghanistan.
So in Afghanistan, I'm sorry, what branch of the military did you say?
I was in the Army.
Army, okay, all right. And tell us how you felt when you got out. I mean, we're going to get into the Reigning Liberty Ranch and how they've helped you, but what were your feelings when you got out? When did you realize this adjustment thing is going to be kind of weird?
I mean, pretty much right away. When I got out, everybody was in the end of 2011. Everybody told me that the economy wasn't too good and that I wasn't going to be doing too hot when I got out. But I had to get out due to medical reasons, so I moved back home, and I couldn't find a place to live, so I moved back in with my parents, and then I couldn't get a job. My vehicle got repossessed, and phone was turned off, and all these bills that I had to pay, and I couldn't get a job anywhere or find anything to do with my time. And
So that led to a depression, I would imagine.
yeah, depression, anxiety, all of it, plus everything that happened in combat. It was just really frustrating to be able to move home from being able to do all these awesome things that I've done with my time and service, and now, have it amount to nothing.
Why do you think that PTSD is so prevalent now with the most recent conflicts in the last couple of decades as opposed to in the past? I'm sure it existed, but it seems to be more prevalent, or is it better identified now?
It's better identified now. I mean, World War I, it was shell shock, or World War I and World War II was like shell shock, fatigue. Yeah, it was war fatigue in Vietnam, and just now in the last decade or so, maybe two, they've actually turned into diagnoses of post-traumatic stress disorder, and realizing the implications of that through testing and other circumstances.
So how did
What
you
it
get?
affects.
How did you get introduced to the Reigning Liberty Ranch in Traverse City?
Well, I was going to NMC, College here in Traverse, for social work, and I needed an internship, and so I called them, and I had worked with them in the past through fundraisers because I was president of the Student Veterans of America on campus, and they needed haystack, so we got a couple of veterans from the college out there to help and I needed an internship for the social work program at NMC. And I contacted Becky here at the ranch, the chief operating officer, and she said that she would love to have me, and now they can't get rid of me.
Do you call her CO when you're there? Or just Becky?
Yep.
So
Becky.
She told us what the experience is, but go ahead and put it in your own words, if you could.
So it's unlike anything really in the area. There's a lot of confusion on what we do and a lot of misrepresentation that people don't understand. But, it's not just the equine therapies, and it's not just, the garden and whatnot. It's an awesome place for people to be able to come out and hang out and just, have a place to go to relax and not have to worry about traffic and not have to worry about, school or maybe what's going on at home or anything else that could be going on in your life. You can just, go there and have a cup of coffee, sit on the couch, watch Netflix, have a conversation with another vet, a different era or the same campaigns, and just be able to relax and not have to worry about everything going on in the outside part of your life.
Right. I can guess it's different stories, but they all have the same common thread, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you got into this, what did you start doing? I mean, did you start with the equine or the garden, or what was the progression there? What was it like for you?
So for me, I was interning there for the social work program, so I would assist in the equine therapies and, do the intake questionnaires and stuff like that and assist veterans in filling out the paperwork that they had for the therapies. And then from there, I got put into the position of outreach coordinator with a couple of the other veterans that work here at the ranch. So we keep the veterans involved at the ranch after the therapies are done, because we'll go through an 8-week therapy session with a group of veterans, and then it'll be over, and they'll be like, well, what the heck do I do on Thursday night now? So we have a free meals Thursday night for veterans at 6 p.m. here at the ranch, where we cook them food and they can come out and just get connected with the resources if they need it, or just have a free meal and hang out and talk with other veterans and be able to relax for a little while.
Is that the best first step for veterans? To that Thursday night meal, trying to get acclimated, an orientation, if you will?
Yes and no. I mean, each veteran's different. Just like what they saw in combat was different. Different people handle different things better or worse than others. There's quite a few people. We typically have between 12 and 20 veterans out here for the meals. So if they, their anxiety or depression is super high and they're not able to handle large populations with, loud talking and everybody laughing and joking, then maybe a Thursday night's not the best. But if they wanted to come out on like a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night and just, get introduced to the ranch and get a tour and find out what we do and fill out some intake paperwork so that maybe they can get involved in the volunteering and helping out the horses or helping out with the garden, or, getting used to the ranch so that on the next Thursday night they'd feel more comfortable coming out.
So do you also volunteer with the at-risk kids? They have a separate program for that at Reigning Liberty Ranch. You do. What do you do what do you do there then?
So I assist. We do a very similar therapy session for the kids through Child and Family Services that we do for our veterans. It's slightly different, but overall it grasps a lot of the same technique through our equine therapy that we use for our veterans through the children. So I assist in the therapies and educating the children on, boundaries, a lot of strengths training and oversight to make sure that, children are behaving themselves and that they don't, wander off and get lost or act inappropriate towards another staff member or anything like that.
What is the interaction like? Do they want to open up, talk about their challenges in life? Do they ask you a lot of questions? What has been your experience?
It's not a hit or miss. a lot like our veterans, these children have been through a lot of traumas. And so, just like our veterans, we have, all the stages of team building from the storming to the very end with, some sort of companionship, friendship. So at the beginning, they're very, put off and shy and, not talking much about themselves. We'll talk about outside circumstances or outside events. And then near the end, they open up a lot more because they're a lot more comfortable with you. You've built that trust so that you can, get a little bit deeper inside and make a connection with their emotions.
Yeah. Lucas Clark is our guest. He served in the Army in Afghanistan and working at the Reigning Liberty Ranch. So what's next for you, sir? Are you finishing up then in your degree with social work, or where are you now?
Well, I'm finishing my bachelor's up through Ferris at the University Center here in town. Then on to the candidacy for the master's program continued through Ferris. And still working here at the ranch doing the assisting with the equine therapies for the vets and the programs we do with Child Family Services.
I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for your service. I know we say it a lot, but we still mean it a lot. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks for